Welcome back, everybody. Hi, Ben.
Hi, Ryan.
How are you?
I'm okay. How are you today?
Anywho, today our starting topic is my topic, and it's manga.
What manga are we talking about?
We're going to talk about a couple of them, probably. The first one I'm going to bring up is Ultimate Exorcist Kyoshi. These are on my phone because they're manga and therefore difficult to remember the names of. So I wanted to tell you about this because it's one of the ones I don't read manga a lot. Like I know it seems like I would, just off vibe, but I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
Occasionally I just get into spats where I'm like, I'll read a bunch, and then.
What about Western comics?
No.
So you're just not a comic reader?
Not really. I mean, it really depends. Like I've read arguably like the peak of Western comics, and that's kind of it.
The peak?
Yeah, like Sandman.
I mean, there's more to Western comics than Sandman.
I'm not saying there isn't. I'm just saying that like it's in the top 10.
Have you read Bone?
I have not read Bone. That is on the list.
There you go. You got to read Bone, my dude.
I know that we could have a long discussion about Western comics because you're really into them. You had that YouTube spat for a bit.
The funny thing is, I'm actually into Western comics, not manga. I've read 2 mangas, this Berserk and
I knew about that one.
And Chainsaw Man, actually.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, Silas got me reading that before the anime came out.
Yeah, all same.
I did not actually appreciate it until I watched the anime and re-going through it the second time. It was when it was like, oh wow, this is one of the greatest things.
I thought you really liked it when you were reading it, at least, because I remember there's a very specific moment in the manga that I remember you took a picture of and sent to a group chat that just said boobs.
It said to touch some boobs.
That's like his goal in life.
Nah, I mean, I enjoyed it, but it didn't really hit me just how good it was until after I watched the anime.
Yeah, it really kind of comes together in the anime. I think the second season is supposed to come out soonish, maybe this year, I want to say. Pretty excited for that. But anyway, back to what I was talking about.
Yeah, what's
Ultimate Exorcist Kyoshi.
Ultimate Exorcist Kyoshi. That's not that bad.
Yeah, it's a really charming little anime. Damn. I'm going to do that a lot. It's a really charming little manga. I really like it. It's about a dude. It's about a world. Okay, the world.
Okay.
Demons exist. You know demons.
I know demons.
Like Christians or Catholics are right. Which one believe in demons? I'm one of them.
Technically, demons exist in cultures all over the world. It's one of those weirdly universal things.
That's actually kind of part. It's not really super part of it, but the iconography that's throughout the whole thing is very much Christian crosses and holy water and that sort of dealio.
That's really interesting because usually when I see exorcist basic because there's an exorcism tradition in
Japan,
in Taoism specifically. Yes. Which is what I would have expected, not Catholic.
Yeah, and the way that Japan deal with yokai and all that sort of stuff, that their version of demons is so much more interesting in my opinion. Because half the time it's oh, he's chill.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're right.
The guy whose eyes are inside out, yeah, he's fine. He just likes to eat children every once in a while. We just gotta feed him a kid.
The concept of yokai mythology always reminded me more of Celtic fae.
Yeah.
Than Christian demons.
Yeah, and it's very interesting. There is an anime called Natsume's Book of Friends, which is very interesting for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's very similar to Mushishi.
One of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, I know you love Mushishi. It's like Mushishi, but a little bit more actiony, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Because Mushishi's a very slow and kind of...
It has no action whatsoever,
and
that is why I love it.
It's very intimate, I would describe it.
When I was talking about how I was a little disappointed in Frieren, it was because, the first half of that season is just Mushishi.
Yep.
And then it turns into a really good shonen.
Yes.
And I didn't want a really good shonen. I just want more Mushishi.
Well, this is more like Mushishi than that.
Got it.
There's some shonen-y bits, but it's not as bad. Anyway, Ultimate Exorcist Kyoshi is about a kid who lives in this world of demons.
Okay.
And all the iconography is very Christian. So they go into churches. There's crosses. The main character has tattoos all over his body.
Okay.
And he's got like a giant cross on his chest and like 777 on his back.
I was gonna say, does he have like the whole like Seal of Solomon thing on the back, like I've seen sometimes?
No, I don't think so. It's just 777, which he thought was 666 when he got it.
Why is that so funny?
Because it's like you sat there and waited, getting a tattoo, and you're like, it says 6, right? And it's like, I think so.
You ever play that game where someone draws on your back and you have to guess what they're writing?
I have not, but I feel like I'd be good at it.
I feel like you'd be able to tell the difference between a 6 and a 7.
Well, it was also in Roman numeral, to be fair.
Okay, to be fair.
Although that is less fair because that adds it's like a line, then one more line, and it's like, hold on a minute there.
It's like, what, you're done already?
Yeah, kind of, but the opposite. It's
Okay.
taking a little bit longer than I think it might be.
So this boy is an exorcist, lives in a world of Christian-style demons.
Yes, but this is where the weird stuff comes in. You know how every manga and anime on the fucking planet has like the main characters say their moves so that children will say them when they're playing?
Yes.
Yeah, well, all of his moves are shit like Apollo and Hermes and
He means
Hades.
Greek gods, specifically?
Greek gods.
It's a little weird.
It's very confusing, and you'd think they'd have something to do with those gods. No, it's just like a name. So he'll name it, be like he'll do a move called Hades, and it has nothing to do with the underworld or anything.
That's funny.
Also, it's weird that Hades is a choice because, like, arguably he can be a fucking demon himself.
Yeah, he's the god of the underworld. He's usually associated with like those, especially in Christianity.
Yeah, and like I don't know, it's weird, but the whole thing is very charming and very fun. Like the art style, it's very There was a specific thing I was thinking of when I was watching it. I would say, do you remember Parappa the Rappa?
Yes, Parappa the Rappa. I was
Not
thinking
that.
about. Oh,
I'm sorry,
you got my hopes up.
The other thing that isn't Parappa the Rappa, but it's the same idea that was like a what's that one website that all the animation and games happened on?
Newgrounds.com.
The Newgrounds version of Parappa the Rappa. There's a thing like that where it's like a dude and he raps and then it goes back and forth.
I'm not familiar with this. So
Dang
it's a bootleg Parappa the Rappa or like a free indie version?
No, I can't remember what it's called.
But that's what reminds you of the art style.
we can make this happen. Ultimate or
So
here we go. Images. That's him.
Oh, okay.
And it's this art style, this very specific. Open a new image tab. Why did that happen?
Why did it happen twice?
Oh no. Open image in new tab. It's just downloading them. All right.
Oh, you know what?
Looks like this. That went farther than I wanted it to. Yeah, but this is like the general idea. There's the 777 on his back.
Oh, so it's 7. All right, I can blow up that image in case anyone's actually watching the footage. So, for anyone listening, it's like a red rectangle with like decorations around it, and inside the rectangle are in Roman numerals 7, then the Roman numeral 7, and then the Roman numeral 7.
Kind of looks like a slot machine.
Well, except no one writes Roman numerals like that.
No. He also, it was supposed to be 666. It was supposed to be a taunt. But it's a very fun, charming little thing, and it's one of those ones when you like read a fair amount of manga, you will get a sense of what's going to be a show and what isn't.
Yeah, you can see what's marketable.
This is extremely marketable. This is almost certainly going to be something, and I think it's going to be really good if his style is captured right. Because it's got a very like kind of blocky, big outline style that I think really appeals to a lot of people.
I'm not good with anime studios, but the one that everyone talks about who did Attack on Titan and Chainsaw Man.
All that's coming to my head right now is Mad Dog.
What did Mad Dog do?
I don't remember. That's the only one that comes to my head.
Our
Mad
friend
Dog.
Silas is the anime guy who knows all these studios and stuff. Well, I was wondering, because if they're the same ones who did Demon Slayer as well, because there's like one anime studio that's got a reputation for just being the best.
Yep.
They also did shoot, what's that one that just came out that we made Mike watch?
Jujutsu Kaisen.
Jujutsu Kaisen as well. Yeah, like all the big ones, they're all done by the same studio. And it's because they're just incredible animators, incredible hand drawn animation, incredible computer animation, incredible combination.
I was hoping to just get the... There we go. Magazine, written by... Studio Mappa. There it is.
Mappa.
Yeah, they're really good. They're also evil.
Oh, they are.
Madhouse was what I was thinking of, not Mad Dog. Madhouse is the other one. They were founded by Madhouse. That makes sense.
So who's the one who did Demon Slayer? Because that art style reminded me a little bit of that, with the thick black outlines, like you were saying. And I think that studio, they're not as good as Mappa. Like
I mean, it really depends. I have not been keeping up with Demon Slayer. I really liked it when it came out, but after a while, it just did not appeal to me anymore. But I went to my buddy Aiden's house, who you know, the other night, and he showed me an episode from like the most recent season.
The most recent one?
Bro, the animation just for this bit of this episode that he showed me was top notch. It was like I don't think you can do it better.
So the last storyline that I watched was the Swordsmith Village arc or something like that.
Yeah, that's the one before the most recent.
Okay, that one looked like garbage. Like that entire season looked bad.
Yeah.
They had these incredibly, like, really bad use of CG. They, like, would do all these, like, weird fish monsters in CG and stuff, and it made it just look really, really awkward. But the season before that, the Entertainment District arc, that one was the exact opposite. Looked like one of the most incredible seasons of anime I've ever seen.
Yeah, what I'm pretty sure happens there is the same thing that happened back in the day with Dragon Ball and One Piece and Bleach. You'd have 20 episodes that look like total ass, where they use the same thing, and then one episode where they spend all the budget on.
Yeah.
And it's the same deal, they just have less episodes, so therefore a smaller budget. Maybe a bigger budget.
It's funny, Mappa's the one who's got the good reputation now, but I only ever watched one season of Attack on Titan when it very first came out. That's when I decided I didn't like the show and I wasn't going to continue with it.
Yep.
But one of the things I noticed back then was how they used their budget, because there were so many scenes of just flat image with dialogue over, you know? Like, that would be
when she's eating the potato.
Most of the episode. Exactly. And then they would just have, like, a 2-minute action sequence that would be the most impressive fucking thing that you'd ever see. And it's like, oh, I see how they're doing that. That's where all the budget's going.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't watch this. This is like, 28 minutes of crap and 2 minutes of amazing. And also the story isn't even that good.
That's probably what they did with Freerun, now that I think about it.
Freerun, well, they used computer animation completely. Like, all the characters are 3D
really?
Models.
They
you didn't
are?
notice that?
No.
I think
not at all.
Once you catch it, it becomes really obvious, and it starts to look really bad after a while. Like,
maybe.
Because there's so many scenes, because I would say they do it very effectively, because there are two things happening in Freerun. Either people are standing around talking, or there's action. The way they've done the action so far has been spectacular. The fact that, most of the time they just spend standing around talking, then it doesn't really matter. You don't need to be stylish with that. Like, I think those scenes look bad because they're just obviously computer models that are very, very, like, low animated. They don't have any facial expressions. They don't ever emote. They never fucking move around or anything like that. But it's just talking.
Yeah.
You don't need to. I think, like, a really, really high-budget series would be both, but Freerun does it very efficiently.
Have you seen Arcane?
No, I haven't seen Arcane yet. That's the League of Legends ones.
I have not seen it either. I have been sleeping on it, but I think you should watch it, because the only one thing that I know about this series, like, for sure, is that it has the highest, like, budget of any animated thing ever.
So I would want to see it just out of curiosity to see what that would look like.
Because that's the only reason I care. I don't care about League of Legends. I could let that series die. But the fact that they spent, I want to say, $200,000 a season is insane.
I have a bad reason for avoiding it.
Okay.
And that is just a bias against League of Legends. Not just like I don't like it, but I used to be a big Dota player back in the day, and even though I will not go to bat for Dota, Dota's a horrible fucking game. No one should play Dota. At the same
Still have
time,
that.
at the same time, I still identified as the okay, yeah, but Dota's still better than League.
You have that red versus blue mentality in your head, and you're red all the way.
It's so hard to get rid of that mentality, man. It's like I'm a Nintendo fan through and through, but like fuck Nintendo.
I don't know. I don't have an issue. I didn't have an issue getting rid of it personally, but I don't know what your struggles are like, you know?
It's
I know
just
what's going
this
on in your
weird
sick
cognitive
mind.
dissonance. And it's like, nah, fuck Riot. They're such a terrible company. It's like, well, Valve isn't like amazing. Like, Valve makes Steam. What are you talking about? It's like, yeah, but I don't want to get into it. The point is that like they're basically the same game. Anyone who says otherwise is full of shit. Dota's better than League. Fuck everybody.
Yep. Well, I mean, for the fact that they put $200,000 per season, maybe give it a check.
Also, they did make a Dota anime. I did not watch that, but I heard it's dog shit. So,
Well,
like,
yeah.
if you're gonna choose between League or Dota when it comes to anime, definitely choose League.
I don't know if it's technically an anime, but I don't know. We're not
Okay.
discussing that
You
yet.
you don't want to talk about that because
I-
we were
I
talking
wanna
about that
talk-
before we started recording.
I'll tell Alex, because he's the only one watching, that in a few weeks I'm gonna do research. I want to have a discussion about whether or not Cowboy Bebop is an anime, and to do that we need to qualify and classify what is and isn't an anime, which is what we're gonna do after I research it, because
All right.
I feel ill-equipped to do it at the moment.
Stay tuned, listeners, for the big researched anime discussion.
It's going to be really, really, really uninteresting.
Okay, well,
I don't know. It'll be.
not getting into Cowboy Bebop. It is an anime, by the way.
That's okay to hold that opinion.
What other mangas have you been reading besides
The one I just finished was the Great God of Discussion Magu-chan, I think.
what's that?
It is really it's a total comedy anime. It's very silly.
Okay.
The idea is a girl. She's like in middle school. She's on the beach. She's collecting clams to eat because her mom's never home, but it's chill. And then she finds a god, a discarded great demon god of old.
She just like finds that laying on the beach, like
Yeah,
fucking flotsam,
Yeah.
like some driftwood.
Yeah, he's like a little thing, and he opens. He's the god of destruction. He's the first pillar.
Okay.
Yeah, of 7, I think. And the whole manga is just her and this little guy fucking about, doing whatever. Like, they become best friends, and there's a couple of staples of it. He will, every time the god eats something, because he needs to eat to maintain his abilities,
Okay.
he reviews a new thing. So he'll do like a really weird esoteric review, or be like, this slimy creature withers in my mouth like a discarded piece of toast, or something like that.
He does food reviews.
Yes, like a staple of the thing. It's very silly, and over time, more of the great demon gods, or whatever they're called, the pillars, come back into the play, and then like the knights come in. It's just very silly, very fun. It actually ended like, I don't know however long ago, a while ago now, but it's very cute.
When was it originally published? Like what decade? Do you know?
Oh, this decade, easy.
Okay.
It was like within like the last 2 to 3 years.
I constantly am forgetting like just how old I am, because to me like anything before 2000
Not that old.
Well, is old stuff, and anything past 2000 is like current. But I'm like, well, no, 2001 is not current. The year is
No.
2025. It's been fucking 20 years.
We had flip phones in 2001.
Oh my god, I didn't have a phone in 2001.
I had my first phone in 2008.
I did not have a phone until after I graduated from high school, which would have been after 2010.
Yeah, I was in middle school, I think, when I got my phone. It was
Okay.
not. It was a slide phone. It wasn't a flip phone.
Well, thank you for making me feel old again.
Sorry.
But what I was getting at is like 80s anime, 80s manga has like a style,
Oh, yeah.
90s anime, 90s manga has that
This
style.
is part of the discussion.
You've got your Dragon Ball Z from your 80s style era.
Well, that's
You've got
all
your
right.
90s
That's
stuff.
not a style. That's not an 80s style. That's just I can't remember his name, but him.
Akira Toriyama. Well,
that's just
Akira
Toyama.
Toriyama is the one who set the 80s style because everyone, started copying
Yeah, because
him.
he was like the best.
Exactly.
But I think I still think Dragon Ball, the style of Dragon Ball, is unique enough to where I don't think anyone else has done it close to that.
Well, a lot of people will complain about what they call the generic anime aesthetic. And, anime fans will then pull up a million different really good famous animes like
that are like, but
One
these are
Piece or Dragon Ball Z.
But they're all like
of different
peaks.
styles.
They're all styles, but they're all peaks of different areas.
Yeah.
Like you have freaking Dragon Ball, that's like the top of here, and you go back in there and there's still a bunch of shit that looks like Chobits and shit like that.
Like, yes, there's lots of variety. There's lots of really, really cool art styles, but you can't claim that there isn't a generic anime art style that every isekai uses.
I reincarnated as a vending machine. Here's my story is the same style as going back in time to fix my old mistakes as a ginger dog this time or whatever.
Are both of those made up?
No, one of them is.
Is it the vending machine?
It's not the vending machine.
What the fuck?
The vending machine one is real. It's not called that, I don't think specifically, but there's a vending machine anime.
I don't have respect for isekais.
I think that's an incredibly valid opinion.
Well, it's one of those, like, okay, blanket statement. You can't really say that because I'm sure there's plenty of, like, this one is actually great. This one that started the genre is actually fantastic.
There are a couple where they're good, but they're mostly good because they don't lean into the fact that they're really an isekai. Like, there's some that do it where they're an isekai, but the only reason you really know that is because you're the viewer.
Mm-hmm.
They really don't play into it. Those ones can be okay. There's one that's coming out that I am going to look up the name of. Oh, I forgot to charge my phone last night. I can't remember the name. I'm not going to be able to find the name of this. There's one that's coming out. I only watched one episode, but it's the exact kind of thing where dude is like, he is isekai, but he himself doesn't even recognize it.
Uh-huh.
Like, he just occasionally will have memories of things that happened in Japan. Like, he'll be like, I wish I had a rice ball right now. And people are like, what the fuck are you talking about?
That's interesting.
Yeah, isn't it? There's lots of, like, there's a lot of variance here, but overall, you're not wrong in any way. Isekais have gone too far, and the naming conventions have made everything worse. I hate them.
I don't understand Japanese titling conventions, like, because you'll see that theme of, it's like, I was reincarnated as, or something like that, and you'll see the patterns over and over, like, they love that, reusing that.
Restarting as a level 1 in a new city or whatever the fuck.
And, like, I always wonder, like, does this flow off the tongue better in Japanese?
I think the main thing is it's really descriptive, so people, almost all of those, like, none of them trick you. Is a way of saying it.
No, they will tell you exactly what's on the box.
And I think that, like, when you're, I don't know, 12 in Japan, and you want to read a manga, and you go to the store, and you're like, I wonder what this is, and it's like, Free Ren Beyond Journey's End. You're like, I don't know what the fuck that means. But then you go over here, and it's like, Jeff reincarnated as a squid. You're like, I know what squids are. I've seen squids.
But Free Ren Beyond Journey's End is a good title, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, it's a perfect title, but, like, it doesn't tell you anything.
You're right.
I mean, it does tell you, actually, exactly what the story is, but you have to watch, like, the first couple episodes to understand that.
Did you ever have to, like, do writing classes, like, as part of English?
I have no memory of most of my schooling.
Oh, my God. Well, I just remember, like, the basic advice on how you make a title, trying to get people, like, to buy in, want to gauge interest and stuff like that. And I've seen, this isn't just for, like, novels or anime or anything like that. It's also just anything that you title.
Yeah.
There's been massive cultural shifts in the way things are titled.
Well,
because of the internet, mostly.
Some of that is not the internet. It's because of market research.
Yeah.
You also got to acknowledge that.
We didn't used to have market research before the year 2000.
It's true. And the other thing is, like, the difference between, culture clashing with Japan and America. You got to think about, like, the most popular shows and mangas in the U.S. I can't think of any that are that long titled.
No, they're not.
You got, like, frickin' Berserk. You've got Jujutsu Kaisen.
Jujutsu Kaisen is an interesting one because that's,
it's the Japanese. But people prefer that over Sorcery Fight.
Sorcery Fight sounds bad.
Yes. Then you got Frieren Beyond Journey's End, but nobody calls it Frieren Beyond Journey's End. They call it Frieren.
Yeah.
Then you've got thinking like not Cowboy Bebop, but
Cowboy Bebop's a great name.
yes, it is amazing. You got Trigun. Even a most recent one of the mangas I was going to talk about was Sakamoto Days.
Okay.
Sakamoto Days, exactly the same deal. It's really popular. It became really popular when it came out as a show recently.
What's that one about? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, okay. So retired assassin in a world of where assassination is just, like, extremely common.
You have definitely told me about this one before.
I have. Yeah, he's a retired assassin in a world where assassins are just, like, common. Like, that's just part of life. Like, everybody's...
I mean, that's the same premise as John Wick.
Well, it's like, it's more comical than John Wick. Because, like, you'll just be, like, you'll be a florist. But as a side job, as a side gig, you'd be like, I'll go kill a guy. 200,000, sure, whatever.
Like, this is a world where people moonlight as assassins.
Yes. And the best assassin ever, obviously, is Sakimoto. I can't remember his first name. I cannot remember his first name. I want to say it might be Yuji because every anime protagonist is named Yuji. But
I was going to say Yuji Sakamoto is definitely a name I've heard.
It's definitely not that one.
To be fair, there's like 100 names in
It's
all
Taro.
of Japan. Taro.
There's 100 names in all of Japanese media.
Well, it feels like that.
It does. From our perspective, it totally does. But in Japan, they have a wide variety of names. It's just that they're not as exciting or as punchy as Yuji or Taro or Yuki. Yugi.
I will always remember that Yu Yu Hakusho, his name is... Wait, what the hell is his name? Yusuke. It's a pun.
He almost forgot.
I almost forgot. His name is Yusuke because it's a pun in Japanese because it sounds like ghost or something like that.
That's pretty funny. Sanji from One Piece is like the number 4, I think.
Number 4 what?
It's just the number 4.
Oh.
That's just straight up how you say it. I think it's the number 4, maybe number 6 or 3, which is a wide range, but I can't remember it very well.
It's a good thing nobody listened to this podcast, or we're probably offending some Japanese speakers.
I honestly doubt they would care. Of all the people in the world, I think it's hardest to offend Japan.
Japanese listeners, please call in and correct us.
Yeah, please comment, subscribe. But Sakamoto Days is pretty cool. I like that one. The anime has been out, the first season, and it's interesting. I don't know. I thought it wasn't as good as I was expecting it to be.
The anime?
Yeah, I was a little disappointed, if I'm being honest. Mostly just because it's like slower than I wanted it to be, or I don't know.
So that's a frustrating thing I've noticed in adaptation, is that when you are reading something, you are controlling the pacing yourself. Yeah. Like, there is pacing that, like, you take into account when you're writing, when you're paneling, when you're drawing.
Yeah, but it's like moment to moment.
But at the same time, like, if you need to stop and reread it, you can at any time. If you need to go back and relook at details, you can at any time. Once that gets converted into anime, everything becomes locked in. You no longer have that control as the reader, and you don't, like, set the pace yourself. Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know how to describe it because this happened with another show, which I would not recommend to you because you would not like it. It's called Mission Yozakura Family.
Okay.
It's very similar to Sakamoto Days. It's but the world is spies instead of assassins.
Of course.
Minor flip. And this young high school boy ends up being forced to marry his high school sweetheart, like, while they're in high school as a result of some weird assassin family stuff.
Okay.
Because she's in the Yozakura family, and they're a whole bunch of assassins. And the only way to protect the boy is to have him in the family from the older brother, who is a PDF file.
A PDF file?
Yeah. We gotta be careful. He isn't, like, really technically, but he's a syscon. Which is arguably worse. I'm sorry.
Why is that a thing?
I'm sorry.
Why is it a thing?
I don't know.
Do you remember when the internet just decided that it was okay with incest?
Yeah. We gotta broach this topic very carefully.
There was one time where you could just go online and never see that without looking for it. I assume. I never looked for it. Then one day it was there.
Yeah. I blame Game of Thrones.
I also blame Game of Thrones.
Yeah. What they should have done is they should have made their kids really, really gross.
Yeah.
That would have been a clincher, because they can be hot, but their kids got to be fucked up.
Well,
And Joffrey was fucked up in the mind, but he gotta be fucked up in the head too, in the face.
yeah, he looked completely normal.
Yeah. He gotta be. They gotta give him a prosthetic where he's like a buck tooth. That also probably would have added to the sympathy though, which wouldn't have helped.
Yeah, that was a big thing.
I'm glad he doesn't act.
I wonder if that actor got any shit for
He
it.
got a lot. That's why he doesn't act, because he got a lot of shit from people messaging him, be like, "You're the worst person." And it's like, I'm an actor.
I fucking hate when people do that.
Yeah, we have off air.
Jack Gleason, by the way.
Oh, you knew his name?
Yeah, so
That's crazy.
Well, the funniest thing is that I recognized him in Game of Thrones from the one other role that he's in. Batman Begins, there is a short scene where Batman meets a little kid, says something to him and then leaves.
That's the
He
weirdest.
plays the little kid.
That is the weirdest connection I've ever seen.
But the thing is that you look at it and it's like, that's Joffrey! That's him! I recognize that that blonde hair and that fucking lazy eye anywhere.
Not Ben. Ben was like, I seen you in Batman.
I don't know how. But then I wasn't the only one, because there was a bunch of posts on Reddit. It was like, hey, it's the kid from Batman. Do you remember that one scene from Batman? And it was like, yeah, I do remember that. Why does everybody remember that one scene from Batman?
That's how good of an actor he was.
He was. And then you all ruined it by being bastards.
Off air, we've talked a lot about how much we hate Star Wars.
Which is weird, because I love Star Wars. I
Yeah,
just also hate it.
Yeah, no, and how it ruined everything. We actually when the sequel trilogy was coming out, we just sat down and discussed, just as an activity, how much we hated them. I remember doing that at least twice.
Are we gonna move on
No.
from anime to Star Wars?
No, I just wanted to point out that the other one that I would say is everybody hated Rose in the 8th movie.
Yeah.
Everybody hated Rose.
It's not the actor's fault.
Every single person who yelled at the actress should cry about it in a corner and not talk to people.
But for me, the number one is always going to be Skylar White from Breaking Bad.
Really?
The fact that she got so much fucking hate for playing that character, who, in the narrative of the show, is the good guy.
Yes.
She was right. Walter is wrong. That's the point. You weren't paying attention.
I haven't watched all of Breaking Bad because I found it to be a very depressing show. And I'm really, really, really bad with shows where I can't relate to anybody in the thing.
Yeah.
At all. Same reason I stopped watching House of Cards. It was before the thing.
It was before.
If it was before the thing.
Technically, I mean.
Yes, but before it was known. I didn't know. But when I was watching that, there was one character who I liked, and I was watching, and I was like, that guy is gonna succeed. And then he fucked up, and he was my last straw, and I was like, turn off.
I know exactly what you mean.
But Breaking Bad, same deal. I do know. I've heard this argument though. I think the reason people hate her is because she cheated on her husband at some point, right?
She has an affair with one of her office coworkers.
Yeah, and it's I get why you'd be upset about that, but also at this point, if I'm not mistaken, haven't seen it. Walter's murdered people, right?
Yeah. No, the cheating happens after he, reveals himself as being a scumbag drug dealer.
Yeah, no, I'm I don't know. I don't think that relationship's going to stand, in my opinion. I'm not that upset about it. I'm not, you don't do it over, I'd argue. You shouldn't, but
there was a genre of television that was very popular there for a while, which seems to have subsided, where it was, serious drama series where the main character is a white guy in his 40s, slowly becoming a worse and worse person.
Sopranos?
Sopranos was the original one, then Breaking Bad, and you mentioned House of Cards. That one's basically that.
Is Better Call Saul that?
See, Better Call Saul is different. That, because Saul is a very different style of
yes,
character.
he is absolutely. And
that's why I say it's not a thing like it used to be. It used to be every major drama series was all could all be described as the white guy turns bad.
There's a couple others that I can think of, but I can't remember their names. There's one about a dude in Australia, I believe.
But you mentioned relating to them, I'm I hate all of these shows.
Yeah, I know. I can't get into it, and I just found Breaking Bad to be annoying because I was I just don't understand Rolt's ideas or notions in any way, shape, or form. Which, to be fair, I think is somewhat the point.
Yeah.
But I can't get into this if this is the motherfucker that I'm supposed to be watching.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Because you can't relate to that guy.
Yeah.
That isn't you.
No, it's, well, yeah, I mean, yeah. But I don't have any other mangas to really talk about. There was one more, but it's not showing on my app, and I can't remember the name of it. It was Shinobi something.
Shinobi something.
Yeah, Shinobi Assault, maybe?
What was it about?
It was about Shinobi Undercover. It's a world where ninjas exist.
Okay. Ninjas actually have existed in the real world.
Yeah, but they don't have, like, superpowers, do they?
Got it. Okay, so it is like a world where Naruto exists.
Close. But it's like that, and it's like modern day, and they need to protect this girl for an inopportune reason. It's like one will be explained later, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So they send in a bunch of kid ninjas in high school to go.
Cause anime.
Yeah, cause anime.
Cause manga.
Cause manga. To protect her, and one of them is a super duper socially awkward weird dude.
Okay.
Who's inexplicably like the most powerful regular human.
So basically, Mob Psycho 100.
No, because Mob was not a regular human.
But he's the most powerful.
He is the most powerful. That's true.
Well, okay, if he's just a regular human, what makes him the most powerful?
Like, when I say the most powerful, I mean like he is literally physically like the strongest person.
Oh, okay.
Like there's no like magic or specialness to him. He's just like he can punch a thing really really hard.
Is it because he works out? Is he buff? Like
he dedicated his whole life from like 2 to this.
My least favorite thing in anime is the fact that like people are just magically strong. Like there's these skinny little Japanese kids that are just fucking like super powered.
Yeah, that's why Dragon Ball's so cool. Maybe JoJo's a better example. Part 5, let's go.
Everyone's fucking ripped in JoJo's.
Part 4 and onward, though, you know?
Yeah.
But it's what I like about it is that it's also just a romance anime or manga.
See, I'm a big fan of romance stories.
Yeah,
I started reading like regular romance novels lately.
It's very cute just because like he is very socially awkward and he has to protect this girl, and she. Like, the kind of overarching story is that she's been, like, guarded by these ninjas her entire life.
Okay.
And she has this never-ceasing sense of inauthenticity in everybody she ever interacts with.
Ah.
Because she can kind of, like, tell for whatever reason that they're just, like, not really there. They're not really your friend.
They're putting on airs. They're doing a job.
Yeah, because they're literally ninjas trying to blend in and pretend.
But socially awkward guy is, authentic.
Yes, because he can't be anything but a socially awkward weirdo.
I love that.
Yeah.
I honestly love that.
It's kind of on a similar level as Dawn to Dawn's romance.
Dawn to Dawn?
Yeah, Dawn to Dawn. You watched Dawn to Dawn, didn't you?
No, I have not watched
Bro,
Dawn
you
to Dawn.
haven't watched Dawn to Dawn?
Okay.
That's crazy.
I'll put that one on my list. What's that one on?
What do you mean?
Is it on Netflix?
I have no idea. I watch everything legally.
I legally download it from the Sailor Bay.
Legally. Yeah, it's really, really good. It's do you know Mashal?
No.
Bro. It's not even that it's not my issue is that you know Mashal, because I do think you'd like it. But the thing that blows me away is the music.
That's a big thing for me.
I know. The intro music to both of these shows is by the same people, and they're both amazing. You didn't see the don da don don da don don da don.
Wait.
Don da don don da don don da don.
Okay, no, I haven't watched that.
But you've heard that?
I have heard that. Yeah, I have seen it referenced before.
Yeah, and then there's the bing bong bing bong bing bong.
Like literally people on the internet writing out that onomatopoeia, and I'm like, okay, that's from an anime I should check out.
Yes. So, we'll go over both of these. Dawn to Dawn is a show about a boy who is obsessed with aliens.
Okay.
Wait, yes, he's obsessed with aliens. He thinks aliens are real. They're coming to Earth to kill him, and it's a whole big thing. He's also really small and socially awkward. And there's a girl. She knows that there are spirits alive in the world. Her grandma is an exorcist.
Okay.
Japanese spirits this time. And he's getting bullied. She's she's a very gal archetype. Do you know that concept in Japanese culture?
A gal? You mean what is a gyaru or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like that? Tan skin, dyed
She doesn't
blonde
have the
hair.
tan skin. She's just that sort of...
But she's, I know the trope.
Yeah.
It's like a particular, social clique.
Exactly. It doesn't exist anymore. Fun fact.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, this is a thing I learned recently. It actually doesn't exist in Japan at all anymore. The only reason it persists in any capacity is because
It's
all
referenced constantly in manga.
Yes.
And
because
and
all of those
thirsted.
dudes,
Like, dude, that like,
all of the people making those were like a kid, and then they grew up, and that's all they can remember from high school.
so it's kind of like when people like fetishize goth girls, despite the fact that like goth music isn't a thing anymore.
Pretty much, yeah. That and flappers.
Flappers, dude.
But,
Flappers is the best name.
Yes, it is. For any kind of social class, yes.
All right, so
She defends him at some point, and he decides that the only reason she could ever do this is because she also believes in aliens. And so he goes up to her and is like, let's talk about aliens. And this becomes a whole thing where they end up like challenging each other because she knows spirits exist. He knows aliens exist. So she goes, you go to this haunted place, and I'll go to this place where the aliens are supposed to be, and then we'll see who's right.
Okay, hold on. Let me make a prediction.
Mm-hmm.
They're both right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Cool. I don't know. Like, the only reason I have to be skeptical is because the show kind of makes it a little bit wibbly-wobbly, whether or not the aliens are real or what the aliens are.
I'm fine with that. I think
Yeah.
people who get like really obsessed with like the technical details of storytelling need to shut the fuck up and stop.
While I agree with you fully, I am also that person.
Yeah, but it's okay. let me rephrase that. That kind of stuff is fun to talk about
Yeah.
and argue with your friends over. When people make comments on Twitter and start getting writers and directors to like write stuff so that they pay way more attention to that kind of stuff, you're making stories worse.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. But point is they're both kind of right. This is where the show gets a little weird.
Okay.
So it does this thing. It's so frustrating. It's really, really good. It's a really cute little romance anime, mostly with a bunch of wacky alien stuffs.
Mm-hmm.
With the main character Ken, and I cannot remember her name now.
I'm gonna assume it's Ryu.
Let's just say that. It's not, but we'll say that.
It's Ken and Ryu.
Ken and Ryu. I only know his name because she makes a big deal out of it.
Out of being named Ken.
Yeah, because apparently there's a person in Japanese culture who I don't know more about this, but his name is Ken, and she's obsessed with him.
Okay.
I think he's an actor. But they're both right. He goes to the spirit world. She goes to an alien. She gets abducted, and then she gets almost, because it's anime, which every time I hate it, but
she gets graped.
She does not.
Grape flavored Kool-Aid.
Almost. Important. He saves her. He goes through the phone as a spirit to save her.
Why is that okay, I was gonna say why is that a thing, but like I have seen ghost phone travel in multiple Japanese pieces of media.
I think the general idea is that ghosts are like energy and therefore can transfer the same way as your voice.
Makes sense. It's a really good mechanic in the game Ghost Trick.
Yeah. But she gets saved, and this is like this specific point where like she's sort of in peril and she's sort of this damsel in distress.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get too deep into it because it's anime, but I really, really don't like that specific thing. The show besides that is really good, but they do that at least twice, and I really don't like it.
Just turning her into a damsel in distress?
I wouldn't say exactly that. It's more so...
Well, what's the trope that you don't like?
The way I would describe it, that's more of an easy way. The way I would describe it is that she's like a pull for the audience to keep track. Because now that she is in direct peril, and it's like a really specifically important kind of direct peril, you're more focused and more interested, and then like you have to see the next episode. It kind of, to me, it feels very gross the way that they kind of present this character as like non-autonomous.
Yeah.
It just bugs me. I don't like it.
When it comes to like the damsel in distress trope, like there's ways to do that right.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Back in the day, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Willow was the original damsel in distress. Like Joss Whedon, when he was talking about writing it, Joss Whedon's a piece of shit, by the way. Joss Whedon, when he was talking about writing it, would say, like, if I wanted the audience to give a shit, I would put Willow in trouble.
Yeah.
Because she was the character that everybody liked. When Willow ended up, evolving into a very powerful character, she becomes like a witch over the course of the show, for anyone who's never seen it. They replace her with Buffy's younger sister as being the new damsel in distress style character. Personally, like, the trope that I hate more than any is when they take a female character and they brutalize her or kill her so that a male character can be angry or upset about it.
Oh, yeah.
Like that, I hate that.
Well,
it's like, oh, she's dead, now he's sad, and that's going to be the catalyst of his story. And it's like, can we stop feeling bad for Wolverine killing Phoenix or whatever? Yeah. Fuck him. She's the one who's dead. I feel worse for her.
I agree. That is bad. My main issue with damsel distress is when the distress is not like death. It's like horribly. It's like it's raped.
Yeah, it's sexual assault.
It's like, okay, you're taking this to a level I don't really like in my media.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I can stand it. There's certain shows that do that. I don't necessarily say well, but to a point where I'm like, I understand. One of them I'd say would be Drifters.
I don't know that one.
No one does. It's actually really interesting, but it's I'm not going to go deep into it. I'm just going to tell you the scene. The scene specifically is like this group of elves is attacking a bunch of humans.
Okay.
And they're doing it because all of the females of this elven village were captured, and they were being horribly,
Yeah.
And up until like right before they open the door, the main guy is like, "We're gonna make sure these guys are prisoners for life." And then he opens the door, he sees that, and he goes, "Execute them. They're all dead. Fuck them." And I'm like, that is the appropriate reaction.
Yeah. No. When I played The Witcher 3. When you're going through Novigrad.
I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like, I'm playing as a good guy. I'm choosing, like, the good, empathetic, I'm going to try to help everyone options. But then you just meet that one guy, and it's like, he's dead. I'm killing him.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
Exactly. That was it was such a specific vibe where I was like, because they show, like, one pan scene of it, and you're like, that's horrible. I'm so upset. And then he goes, kill them all, execute him, and I'm like, hero. That's the hero.
What's the worst one? Goblin Slayer is like your I was gonna say, what's the opposite of a gold standard?
I
like
despise Goblin Slayer to a point that's unfair.
The thing is that, like, as many people will point out, that's not like indicative of the whole series. It's just like, oh, is it? I thought it was like something that happened at the beginning.
Let me argue.
Okay.
We've gone away from mashup, but we'll get back there.
I thought we were talking about Dandadan.
We were. You're gonna watch Dandadan.
Okay, we'll talk about mashup the next time.
But so it's not, when you say indicative, that first scene is the only time, to my knowledge, it happens in the show. At least the first season. That's all I watched.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair. But the problem with it is that it sets the tone throughout the rest of the show.
Yeah.
And then instantaneously abandons it.
That's what I meant. It's that
except that they reference it all the time, because the main character's main struggle, the reason he's attacking goblins, is because he was under the floorboards while his family got horribly brutalized by goblins.
Mm-hmm.
So he witnessed it. So that's referenced multiple times.
So it's important in the plot,
yep.
But tonally it's not reflected.
Also, there are just rape victims everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
This is like a common thing. They literally will go in and they'll act fine, like up until this point, up until they go into the dungeon. They'll be like a happy, normal fantasy anime. This is where I learned about using the dispersion of flour and lighting on fire causes explosions. I learned it in this show because that's one of the things they do. That's one of the ways they solve a problem.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, that's kind of cool. That's interesting.
And then it's like on Mythbusters once.
Yeah, they have it on Mythbusters. And then like a minute later, there's just like a rape victim, and it's like, oh, cool. They go to like a main town, and there's this big hero, and she's a priestess. And she's, an anime character, so she's got huge titties and a big booty. And it's like, oh, hey, she's a rape victim. That's just part of this now.
That's gross.
I hate it. I can't stand it. I'm baffled every time anyone says it's a good thing because it's the worst show. Also, one other thing I'm going to complain about that is not as nearly as bad because it happens in like every anime, but in this one I think is specifically annoying.
Yeah.
Every anime that has a harem aspect, the main character is a fucking dweeb, despite the fact that he's a fucking dweeb. Every female in the whole world falls for him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind that in other things because at least there's a logic.
Yeah.
Because he has like a personality, even if it is, oh, I'm so strong and well weak. Wah. I get it. I don't think it makes a lot of sense, but I can at least understand it.
You know what's weird? Okay,
let me continue real quick.
Yeah.
The thing that bugs me about Goblin Slayer is that the main character has zero personality and doesn't really think or talk.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not to be reductive, but he is like very, very barely functionally autistic. Like this isn't said in the show, but it's like very apparent with the way that he interacts with every other human being on the planet.
Yeah.
And it's still a harem anime. And like, I'm not saying that if you're heavily autistic, you can't be in a harem, but you need to do something. You can't just be nothing.
So I was complaining about isekai earlier. Goblin Slayer's not an isekai, right?
I have no idea.
Well, isekai is specifically, people getting teleported into a fantasy world or whatever.
Yeah.
But I honestly just count all of these
fantasy style
as part of the same genre. I don't care if it's someone getting like transported into a fantasy world. It's all hot garbage escapism of people pretending that they're, in the world of Dragon Quest.
Yeah.
That's what all of them are.
Pretty much.
Different variations of it. But that's why that's always some no personality, dumbass protagonist. Always a stupid harem of, like, busty, ridiculous-looking female characters.
Yeah, it gets really tiring. I've actually watched a few of them as, like, slop to have on while I do other stuff.
Mm-hmm. But, like, Goblin Slayer is, like, the perfect example. Is like, are you talking about something serious, or is it just another escapist fantasy isekai bullshit?
It's terrible.
It's escapist fantasy isekai bullshit.
I hate it. I also hate Dr. Stone. We've probably talked about that, I'm pretty sure. Well, not on this podcast.
What would I have to do to get you to read Berserk?
I'll probably read it eventually. I don't hate Berserk at all. For the sake of our listeners, I was challenged a while. Actually, I issued a challenge to a mutual friend of ours to watch Jujutsu Kaisen, and the reason I did that is because
we knew he would love it. We knew he would love it.
We knew he'd love it. But every time I'd be like, "You should watch this," he'd be like, "I don't have time," and I'm like, "I know that you do have time. You could just do it. Just watch it." And he'd be like, "No," and I said, if you watch it, I'll watch Berserk, because that's like his favorite thing of all time. Turns out I don't like Berserk very much.
Or at least not that original anime series.
No. The original anime series is really bad.
I disagree. I think it's pretty good.
I know.
I think it's, old. I think it's aged.
I think I have a few problems with it. One of them is I watched almost everything dubbed, which is entirely my own fault, and I am at fault for that. Mm-hmm. I don't defend it, but it's like what I do.
I mean, I watch the dubbed. I've never seen the subbed version.
The dub is fucking terrible.
I don't agree with that. It is. I think the dub's fine. Or at least for the main characters, Guts, Casca, Griffith.
Nope. Rewatch it.
I've watched through it multiple times.
Watch it again.
I think we're just gonna have to agree to disagree.
I wouldn't say it's necessary, like, especially for that era. It's not that bad.
I mean, if I were to list all my favorite animes, I don't think Berserk would actually make it on the list.
No, but probably not.
Berserk. I originally tried to read the manga because I wasn't interested in the anime at all. A person I knew and don't like very much constantly told me to watch it. Yeah. And his only reason for telling me about it, why I should watch it, is because it's badass. And that's not a good enough reason for me. But I was bored in Pittsburgh, so I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to try to finally give this a chance. The manga, it starts off bad. And everyone who is a big fan will tell you that. The beginning of the manga is horrible.
I've heard the person who created it has regretted making that first part.
I mean, he's wild. He started it when he was a teenager. That series is very long.
That makes a lot of sense.
And I don't want to get too much into Berserk spoilers because that's an entire episode. That first story arc is bad, and that first story arc is pretty much entirely contained in the first episode of the anime series.
Yeah.
And that episode is incredibly forgettable because it does not reflect anything else in the rest of the anime series.
Yeah.
And then the anime series covers what is called the Golden Age arc of the manga, and that's it.
Yep.
It was what convinced me to start reading the manga, was watching through that, 20 episode series?
24. To defend my point, the reason I want to say that one of the main reasons I don't like it is largely unfair to Berserk. My expectation going in was that it was going to be significantly more interesting, and because I'd heard about it forever. Mm-hmm. And then I watched it, and I was like, oh, this is just kind of like a medieval war.
Yeah.
With one guy who's trying to become okay. And I know that there's more. I just didn't get to it. I'm not going to pretend. I know there's a big demon. and like a thing with Griffith.
So
I know.
a lot of the people who love that part of it, because a lot of people are like, it's just like political fantasy series, and I'm like, well, it's not really Game of Thrones now, is it?
No.
Like, we've seen this done since, and we've seen it done better. Berserk is a character study. It's about guts. It's about this one character.
Who gets,
and when we get into like all the dark subjects that we were talking about before, sexual assault and whatever, this is way darker than any of those.
Oh, yeah.
Not even close. I'm not even talking about, like, because the one scene. I'm not talking about that.
I know.
That is out of its way. I just mean, generally, over this entire series, it is one of the darkest things I have ever read. And it is one of the only things, period, I've ever experienced where it touches those things maturely.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
I don't know. I didn't grab me. I wasn't very interested, and I didn't want to continue watching. And then, like, I didn't think the dub was very good, and the animation is really, really bad. And I know that isn't really fair, because I don't know if anything that Berserk has ever come out with has had good animation.
No. Oh, my God. Here's the thing. Like, every single anime adaptation of Berserk
is bad.
Like, that original series, most people will say is good.
Yeah.
Most people agree are good. You say it's bad. And I'm not going to argue with that. But everything else is so much worse.
I know. That's my problem. And I heard that I think it was Mappa, and ironically, was going to make Berserk a real Berserk.
Oh my God. I want that so bad.
And I'm like, I'd watch that. But one of like my biggest gripes, and I am spoiled because I've watched a bunch of stuff after Berserk that looks so much better. But one of my biggest gripes was the beginning of the show. Guts goes and fights a guy, and he just goes, and that's the whole fight. It isn't anything else.
For listeners, he is just like waving one arm like he's chopping with a cleaver.
That is literally the entire fight, and I'm like, how the fuck?
Oh, man, when it's done in the manga, it's actually really cool. Like, he always draws it in the same way, right? You have, like, the setup shot where he's about to swing the sword, and then you never see the slice. You only ever, like, the next panel is always afterward, where these people are all, like, cut in half.
Yeah, the classic.
It's so cool.
Yeah, but, like, in the fucking show, it's just, like,
That's another one of those wholly computer animated ones. All of the
original?
Not the original one.
That's what I'm talking about.
Then I don't know what you're talking about.
There's like a scene like the very first or second episode where Guts is young still, and he has to fight this one guy, and he just has I think he has his big sword at this point. And he just goes up to him and just and that's the whole scene.
Okay.
That's the fight.
If I'm going to rewatch through it, because apparently I have to, so I can see how bad the dub is that I never noticed, and I can remember this scene that I don't remember.
I almost would argue you shouldn't watch it, because, like...
Well, I'm thinking at this point, like, in order to get you to watch it, we'll just we watch it together, and you can complain about everything that you don't like about it, and I will have to shut up and listen. How does that... Like, is that going to get you to watch it?
Yeah, I guess. I'll watch it with friends. Sure, fuck it. I don't know if it'll change me.
We'd invite Mike, but he'd probably end up killing you.
he would just be like, with his fist, he'd just be gnarling, motherfucker.
He does that.
This is when he's really mad, but like not usually.
Berserk is one of those things. Like for a long time in my past, I always said I was an anime hater.
Oh yeah, I know.
And it wasn't until the pandemic where I really started watching like a lot of different series to the point where it's like, okay, I'm an anime fan. I watch more anime than most people I know now.
Yeah.
Berserk is something I always counted as separate. Like Berserk, I never considered an anime or a manga series. It's just a piece of art that is so good that I have to recommend it to people.
People do that with Studio Ghibli movies too.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah. All right. Did we get to your ending topic?
Are we still doing ending topics?
We tried.
Okay, well, my ending topic would have been, like, a game I've been playing in UFO 50 because, like...
Oh, my God, we didn't talk about UFO 50.
My brain is still in UFO 50
I cherried a game in UFO 50.
I was trying really hard not to talk about UFO 50 because we spent the entire last episode talking about UFO 50.
Well, we know what our topic next week is.
It's going to be more talk about UFO 50.
Yeah. Or anime, I don't know.
Anime and UFO 50?
I have to talk to you about Mashal now.
That'll have to wait until next episode.
Yes, it will. But I do recommend, before we go, highly recommend Dandadan.
Okay.
You will like Dandadan. I'm very sure. I don't know, maybe. Because sometimes I recommend you stuff and you hate it. I'm pretty sure on this one.
Okay, for our listeners, he's talking about Akumaju Drive. Akudama Drive, and I liked like the first half of Akudama Drive a lot.
And then you hated every single second after that. I know. I'm not trying to bring it up. It's fine if you don't like it. It just makes it harder to recommend you stuff.
Whatever. Keep recommending me stuff, even if you don't think I'll like it.
I recommend you Don and Mashal, at least for the music.
Okay.
All right. And that's it. That's the episode. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
That's our sign off now.
I hate saying that.
Yeah, it's the call to action. It works.
That's the part. Well, the other thing, my other rationale though.
Hey, our one listener, Alex, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, or else you're not my brother anymore.
It's kind of bullshit that you haven't yet. My thought process is that if you make it to the end of this and you don't like, comment, subscribe, you're the problem.
If someone made it all the way to the end of this, they're already doing better than most.
Right? Later.
Have a great day.